In the tunnel.
In the tunnel.
In the tunnel. You're listening to In the Tunnel.
Hello and welcome to In the Tunnel, episode number 119. So let's just get straight into it. We had the two finals that were going on wrap up recently, so
So we're now at the most boring part of the sports Luminox.
yeah, basically. So yeah, let's
Good
start with
time.
the NBA, right? Their finals was the Celtics and Mavericks.
Which I think you knew on paper as soon as it happened that there was a chance that it was going to be like okay. So I think what was it 2 years ago was Celtics and Warriors,
Yeah.
and the question was was it going to be the up and coming Celtics versus the Warriors at the end of their run? Like, do they have enough gas to get one more? And it was kind of a toss up on paper. This one, as good as Luca as an individual player is, and as good as Kyrie Irving as an individual player is, it it's just a severe drop off from there to their next group of contributors.
Right.
Whereas the Celtics were just absolutely stacked. Like the Celtics lost Kristaps Porzingis, which is funny in its own ironic way if you pay attention to where he's played over the years, in that the Mavs dumped him
Yep.
to Washington, Washington dumped him to Boston, and so like of course Porzingis gets hurt because he- that's the
Normal.
Porzingis trajectory,
Mhm.
but the other four starters are just so good. The fact that Boston particularly drafts in the first round guys for to be role players because they just know that they're all they need to do is get a decent starter who's going to consistently contribute. So
Yep.
it's all right, we're going to spend the next 4 years with first round picks on the bench.
Mhm.
So it was pretty obvious that as deep as Boston was, there was just nobody else in the playoffs who were as deep.
And the finals, for lack of a better term, started off as a pretty bad for the Mavericks, I would say.
Yeah, it was pretty much as I said, on paper you could write the champ. You could write in the winner, kind of like when you did youth sports, and it was like there's just a little, or like fantasy football, they give you just a little emblem that's blank and it's like, oh, we'll put the name on later. You could write the Celtics on there
Yeah.
from game one. Um, I don't know. I think that for the Celtics, this one is weird for Boston because Boston sports, it used to be utterly annoying for them to win championships,
Yep.
but now that we have and I know that 3 or 4 years is not really a gap, but it kind of is for Boston sports. Like, what is it, that Boston sign kid who always held up the sign who was like, I'm 12 years old and I've seen like seven championships. It's like
Yep.
that dude's now in college, and he
Yeah.
hasn't had to bring out the sign in the past few years. So I don't know. It didn't strike me as annoying. If
Uh-huh.
Boston goes on a tear here and wins the next two or three, he's gonna get back to being annoying. But right now, there's just kind of an innocence about it.
Yeah, I agree.
Um,
I mean, like, my only problem was like those games could have been a lot closer, especially at the beginning. I feel like okay, I agree with you that like Boston was basically penciled in to win from when the matchup was announced.
yeah,
I mean, I'm pretty sure they were penciled in to win before the matchup was announced.
Yeah,
But
they were penciled in pretty much throughout the whole
yeah,
playoffs.
but I like that series just was a letdown from what it could have been.
So my thing is like, granted, I was on the West Coast and I was watching Game One from the back seat of a car.
Yeah.
Um, Turning it on in the second quarter, and it was like a 25 or 30 point lead already.
Yep.
And it was like, well, like game one, we all know in professional sports is like that's the one to steal because like
Right.
you catch the other team napping, and Boston was just in cruise control before halftime.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of like,
Yeah, yeah,
and I
but
know we trash the NBA a lot, but it very much felt like, well, I guess I don't really need to pay attention to this. This feels pretty inevitable.
I mean, my point is more so that like, okay, the series, even though Boston was penciled in before the series started, they're like the Mavericks should not have gone down like 30 points game one. Like,
Yeah, but like the thing about the West was teams like the Clippers, teams like the Suns, they all have star players, but absolutely no bench or anything to fall back on if
mm-hmm.
stars didn't get it done. And so the Mavericks were able to ride through those kinds of teams and just
Yeah.
play them, strength against strength. But the thing is that
I mean,
there's
I
no
don't
team like the
disagree.
Celtics that are that deep. Like they, the Timberwolves are overall a very young team and a very inexperienced team when it comes to the playoffs. And to get the Timberwolves in the conference finals is like the ultimate draw of like if you get past this, then like nobody's going to remember that you played the Timberwolves in the Western Conference Finals. But like if you put the Timberwolves versus the Celtics, I'm sure the same thing would happen.
Yeah, but like, I'm not saying like, I mean, at least we had those games after that that were closer. I feel like I'm just saying that having game one where it is the time for them to, kind of make a statement to say that they're at least in these games and then floundering that hard. I was in Atlanta at a bar watching the game. It just kind of put like a dampening mood on the series as somebody who has no like emotional attachment to the
Mhm.
play to that game.
Yeah, I mean, uh, again, we crap on the NBA a lot, but it genuinely is because like if you walk into a sports bar and you're like, "Hey, the finals are on," you want to be entertained by it, and
Yeah.
like you end up just on your phone doing what you do on any other day because it's so predictable and boring.
Yeah.
Um, so I
And
don't know,
while
overall, it kind of sucks.
while the rest of the series wasn't as bad as the first game, it's just like it kind of sucked that the
I
first game was
mean,
like that. I mean,
games are pretty bad.
I agree, but like the
It's
first
just
game
in
going down
the
30 in like literally one half was a big problem.
yeah. I mean, that got exposed relatively quick. And I think that the they even though Kyrie has played for what, how many teams since Boston? I think just one. I think just Brooklyn between
Mm-hmm.
Dallas and Boston. But like the way he left Boston and told them like he was coming back if they would let him come back, like fans, "Oh, if you'll have me back, I'll stay." And he left. Like, he was the absolute asshole that like that happened right as Tatum and Jalen Brown began or were in their ascension.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, how would you take it if like the guy who was without your big three, lied to your. So I'm sure there's some extra motivation there.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, out of the obvious series into the NHL.
Into the series that looked like it was going to be obvious.
Yeah, I
I was
know.
at I was at kickball games on Mondays, and teammates would tell me, "Oh, I'm going to the bar after the game. I think I have to root for the Oilers," and I'm like, "Nah, it's inevitable at this point. Like, why would you do that to yourself? Like, it's inevitable." So we had a 3-0 lead
Yep.
for the Florida Panthers,
Yep.
and I don't know about you. We haven't really discussed this, but who were you rooting for?
The Panthers.
Yeah, me too. Because my thing was like everybody was coming to me, Sam was coming to me and being like, the Oilers, the candidate in 30 years. And I was like, yeah, but do you remember how many fucking rings Gretzky gave that organization?
I mean, it's
Like,
not even that, right? For me, it was more so okay, well, nothing against the Oilers because they have a great team. My problem was they've had a great team, and this is the first time they've kind of proven themselves.
yeah,
And whereas, like,
the pay dog shit for
yeah,
absolute ever.
yeah, the
Like,
Panthers, both of us know as we were growing up. Oh my
Panthers were the team
god!
that you played against in NHL video games because they were the worst. Other than Kovalchuk, like you had absolute meatheads who couldn't throw any agility on the ice.
Yep,
Like the Panthers were your like Colorado Rockies now, like intentionally very bad.
yep.
They were like the Thrashers, bad, but I was rooting for the Panthers because it was like I had to look it up. They made a West Finals or East Finals.
Hmm.
Actually, was it West back then? No, they
Um,
made a Stanley Cup
yep,
final last year, and they made one in the '90s where they lost to the Avalanche.
yep.
So like even their best seasons were failing ones. So and former Penguins players are everywhere at this point because they've bought and
Half the
sold
league is
everybody.
former Penguins players. Not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
exactly. But like, I think that in a world where the salary cap is as low as it is with the NHL, Florida put together the deepest team. They
Yeah,
had Oliver Ekman Larson. They had Vladimir Tarasenko. They had all these guys who are, yes, they're on the back nine of their career, but 70% of what they once were is still probably way better than what a lot of teams have on their bottom six
yeah.
or in their third pairing.
Hmm.
And so they were really deep. I
Yep.
think the big question was Bobrovsky because he always kind of uh, came. He
Yeah,
got
but I mean,
exposed.
last year, right when they made it the finals, he did have a great showing.
He did. Now we have to talk about the whole Bobby Lou thing because how the filed and was like Bobby Lou finally won one. So Roberto Luongo, who played like 20 plus years, great goaltender, he did choose to finish his career with the Panthers.
Yeah,
Like he chose to.
yeah,
Um, like I'll give him like 60% of one. He's very clearly is not in the capacity to be like for the internet to break the way it did.
yeah,
Like I'm a big Bobby Lou guy because there is nobody who isn't a big Bobby Lou guy.
yeah.
But like the notion that he went through pain and suffering is like we forgot this guy was. Let's all be honest about the game of hockey for a second. Did you not forget about Roberto Luongo since like 2016? Because I did.
I would say like past the 2022 season, he's been way on the back burner.
Yeah, exactly. And then all of a sudden, the whole internet. right to the forefront, and then all right, well, um, yeah, I mean, he's a great guy, but I think we took away some high deserving praise and attention
Mm-hmm.
from the players on the ice there. And also, I think maybe this is a good transition. The Conn Smythe. Um, I think we have to debate that a little bit
Yeah.
because I'm of the opinion that okay, McDavid set a record for assists in a postseason.
Uh-huh.
He broke Gretzky's record. I think it was
Yeah.
Gretzky's.
Yeah, it was.
I would argue if you're going to set records and they don't mean anything at the end of the day because you didn't win the cup,
Uh-huh.
then the ultimate trophy should not go to you.
Yeah.
I'm of the opinion that the winning team obviously did something better and the Conn Smythe should go to somebody on that team.
But
Unless
I mean,
your achievements are like double.
my thing is, right, the Conn Smythe is to highlight the one player, right? Whereas I believe that Florida as a whole meshed and did everything a lot better together. Can you really say that there was one player that was better in the in the postseason?
I
That's
mean,
that's the
I
counter
know that the
argument.
typical, I know that the typical one that was been thrown out there was Bobrovsky, for
Okay,
Florida
I mean,
as being in the loop,
yeah,
and I'm not saying that it necessarily should have been him or shouldn't have been him. I would just argue to say that if it's not like Connor McDavid was the only one achieving at a high level.
yeah, I
He
agree.
was just the only one whose paper stats notably showed it.
Yeah, yeah, no, I'm just
But
trying
I
to
think
present
that
the
once
counter
you
argument, right? Like I'm not I agree
right,
with you
right,
that it
but
probably should go to a Florida player. I'm just trying to present the counter argument.
my mentality is if you're going to let stats dictate things, then that's what the Hart Trophy is for. That's where you evaluate all 32 teams because that's for elite individual performance.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm looking for is who stuck out the best on the team that worked hardest to get there and was able to achieve the ultimate goal. And
Okay,
I think also go ahead, go ahead.
the
I want to hear this.
other counter argument that I could possibly bring up, right, is okay, the Oilers didn't end up winning, but they almost took the reverse. And they made it a 7-game series. So even though
Okay.
that is the absolute closest you can get is bringing it to an even series going into the last game.
Okay. So what I'll say is I'll give you consolation points for the fact that it was a dead in the water series and they took it to game 7 and only lost by a goal. So like if it was like oh they lost in 5 games and it was 4-1, like
Yeah,
yes, I do think that there is some merit to the series was up for grabs, but I'm sure there's also been Conn Smythe winners. Like
yeah.
if there's a 6-game series and you still lose 4-2, then I'm of the opinion that it should not go to a
Okay, yeah.
losing team player because at the end of the day, it's not like this was a toss up. You were in an elimination games from the jump.
Yeah.
Um, I think that the double edged sword here is when you ask yourself the question, would the player do you see the player coming out on the ice after losing the finals to collect their trophy? My argument would be if they don't want to come out and get it in that moment, it should not go to them. It should go to somebody who's on the winning team. Because if I can put myself in the shoes of Connor McDavid and I just grinded my ass off to get to game 7, I put myself in a position to, as this hurts more than losing in Game 5 because if
Yeah,
it was Game 5, I know we just don't have it. In Game 7, this is the most gut
by
wrenching thing.
one goal.
And and McDavid didn't come back out when they announced him to it.
But
And
I
if
don't
I
expect him
were the
to.
player, and if I were the player who won the trophy, if I'm on the losing team, I would tell the NHL, don't even put it on the plane back with us.
But you
I
won't.
don't want to see it for a month.
But the point is also like how it is all how you react, right? Because it is absolutely heartbreaking to lose by one goal in game 7 after clawing your way back from 3-0.
Yeah, it is.
And
But I think that
I mean, you
go
have
ahead.
to understand, right? It's like we're a human, right? We have emotions. So you're absolutely devastated in that moment. There is no way you're telling anybody to do anything, and it's probably the best for your mentality to not go back on that ice.
Right, but in that moment, what I would tell
Yeah,
somebody
but
is, I don't want
you
it.
wouldn't because you're like sad and destroyed about losing. You wouldn't say anything.
Losing is the ultimate thing that you don't want. That's why the trophy doesn't go to losers.
But the point is, he's not going to reject the trophy. One, probably because of like bonuses and stuff for winning. Two, because you've just lost and you don't want to talk to anybody or do anything.
Okay, but hockey's the ultimate gentleman's game. If somebody was offered the Conn Smythe trophy and had contractual,
We just say it's the
the
gentleman's game, bro.
organization would fucking reward them as if they won it.
No, we
The
just say it's the
organization
gentleman's game, bro.
The or but let's be fair. Let's be fair. 90% of organizations are going to be like, you rejected this trophy, so we're going to reject money too. They're well aware of what's going on.
Yeah, but also, like, you can't expect somebody in that situation with those emotions running high to do anything in that moment, I believe. I
I
believe,
agree with that. But I would also say, then don't give that guy the trophy.
but that's
He
not,
doesn't want it right
it's
now.
not his decision at that point. Like, I don't, like, I can't hold it on Connor McDavid for, except, like, getting that trophy, right? Because did he choose to be awarded the Conn Smythe? No. If
Correct.
you really have a
The
problem with it, go talk to the NHL.
chose
But at the same
the
time, like,
NHL chose to have this where it could go to both. The NHL basically said it doesn't even have to be somebody in the final.
no,
It could be
okay.
somebody
I
who
think
scored 10 goals in a round.
you'd get a riot if it didn't have to be somebody in the final. I have a problem. Like, the only reason I'm somewhat okay with this is because it was a 7-game series where they clawed back from 3-0 and they only lost by one goal. You can't say he wasn't pivotal in the playoffs, right?
I will agree with you in the sense that this is a circumstance where it makes the most sense. I just think if it were me, trophy, this is not
Yeah, but okay.
eight-year-old
If it were
baseball. This is
you,
not T-ball where everybody gets a trophy. The
the point
trophy
is,
goes to
but
winners.
the point is, right? That's you. You would reject it, and all power to you if you're.
Dude, you're Taylor Hall won the Hart Trophy when he was with New Jersey, and New
Yes.
Jersey didn't do shit.
Yes, I know.
Okay. The regular season is for stuff that doesn't mean shit. This assists record doesn't mean shit.
Fair.
In the grand scheme of things,
But I
playoff
mean,
assist record doesn't
so
mean anything.
so my other point is right. Like, okay, the Conn Smythe is for the person who contributed most to their team in the playoffs, right?
Yeah. But like
Okay,
the playoffs is a different animal.
right?
It's
No,
not
no,
a
no, no.
stat-based animal.
Hold on. I'm trying to make a point. Okay,
Man.
so screw the assist record. I don't care. But what I'm asking is to consider the point where it's for the single person who contributed most to their team, right? Now, I agree with you. It has to go to somebody in the finals because that's when they can contribute the most. And I also agree with you in most cases it has to go to somebody in the on the winning team, right? So
Yeah.
I'm at least saying in this case, right? Connor McDavid has to be considered. Whereas he did not win the Stanley Cup Finals, or his team did not win, he definitely was one of the most contributing players to his team's success in the entire final. Right? And there are definitely players on Florida who you can argue the same. I don't care. I'm not arguing that point. I'm saying that the NHL made its decision for whatever reason, but I'm saying he at least deserves to be in that conversation.
I agree with that. I just in the same way that I don't know if you remember when we were kids and you would watch Super Bowls, and back in the days of text voting for the Super Bowl MVP, they gave you choices for both teams regardless of the score because they said, hey, anything can happen. We're probably going to pick a player from the winning team, but just in case, Seattle creates this monumental comeback, all the votes for Hines Ward can't mean something. So they still had the ability to say, wow, 80% of the vote is for Hines Ward, but the Steelers did lose that game, so maybe it should go to Matt Hasselbeck. My ending point is that, as I said, with the Taylor Hall thing, hockey is a different game in the regular season than the playoffs. If you're going to be inclined to be so statistically driven, then that merit also has to stay in the regular season. Because once you enter the postseason, the game is different and stats don't mean anything anymore. The only thing that matters are wins and losses. And at the end of the day, a
Yeah,
team got more wins than losses.
but also like the Conn Smythe Trophy is not about wins and losses. It's about contribution to a team, which can't be measured, as you're saying.
Right, but wouldn't
So,
you say
like
that
this
something is
trophy
more
is a moot point
immeasurable if you
anyway.
won
It's
it?
like useless. The trophy
Right.
has been useless.
As you said, if the contributions are immeasurable to the point where they those contributions allowed somebody to be the ultimate winner, are are the are the Oilers the ultimate winner?
But no, we're only saying that the 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 trophy, first of all, doesn't mean like the trophy is for the person who made the most contributions to their team in the playoffs. It does not mention the outcome of the playoffs in any way, right?
Okay, so at the end of the day, what we're saying here is,
This reward is useless.
hey, Connor McDavid, here's a trophy to celebrate the fact that without you breaking an assist record and literally putting this dog shit team on your back more than you have in recent years, you guys would have been bounced 2 rounds ago.
Yeah,
Okay, but all the other teams that were bounced 2 rounds ago weren't in the conversation.
but I mean, I agree, but at the same time, it's like there has to like
I'm
that's
I, I'm I'm just gonna finish off by saying I would have given it to Bobrovsky.
okay. I mean,
I think
go argue
I
with the
get that
NHL.
he's a 1B in the conversation of if we blend the rosters together, McDavid is 1A and Bobrovsky is a 1B. But the fact of the matter is,
Yeah, but the Stanley Cup is for the team that won. This is for the person that made the contributed the most, right? They are.
the NBA
I mean,
Finals MVP doesn't go to the loser of the
yes,
NBA
I
Finals.
agree. But what I'm saying is there could technically be a case where that could be true.
I'm just saying
Like
it should.
let's say like you have a playoff game or the NBA Finals in Game 7, like or somebody on the losing team scores 70 out of their team's 90 points and the other team wins 91-90. Would you not give it to the guy who got set like 70 bad points?
Oh, I wouldn't. They still lost.
But he was still the best player on the court.
He wasn't good enough.
Yeah, but it's a team game, so why are you punishing him for the fact that his team is dog shit?
Because
But this
the
is a
team is supposed
solo
to
award.
win.
It's a solo award. It's not anything else. All right. Anyway, Um, we'll come back to all those. But let's
I'm
talk
asking
about.
I'm asking ChatGPT how often this happened. Let's see here.
I mean,
Let's
okay,
do
I
six
agree that it
times.
should go to a player on the winning team in most cases. But I'm just saying that the way the award is worded means that it could and should technically go to a player on the losing team in extenuating circumstances.
Okay. So McDavid winning it is the sixth time in like 100 years.
Yeah, and that's fine.
So no, it's not fine for it to happen 6% of the time. At that rate, you should say it happens none of the time or 100% of the time. And the answer can't be 100.
Six is whatever.
If it was 20%,
That's a
I'd
problem.
be like, well, no, I'd say the opposite because I'd say individual
No,
performance actually means something that 20% of the time they're actually being relatively consistent. If
no,
you're just
but
going to be an outlier,
it's
then it's worse.
extenuating. Like there. Okay.
No, it's not because
Yes.
Ron Hextall and and John Sebastian Gigier were the last two to do it. So if it was going to be the last, if goaltenders were going to be the last two people to do it, then why was Bobrovsky not the one to get it this time?
Yeah, maybe they felt like he wasn't the main
Oh,
contributor to their
sorry, it's
wins.
been 21 years since we gave this to a goaltender. It.
Anyway, let's talk some Utah hockey. So they released their logo.
Ask you the question: Is it been easy for you to remember that this is just the same shitty Arizona team?
Yeah.
Because to me, it feels like it's a brand new team.
Nope, it's the same crappy Arizona team that I want a Koshina
To
I want a
me, I
Koshina
all of a
one
sudden think
for.
that it's an expansion team that just didn't have a draft.
No, it's the same
Like they
crappy.
just popped up out of nowhere.
Nope, same crappy team.
Team Crepe
So what do we think of the Utah hockey logo?
sucks. Well,
Okay, what about their
it's
home?
definitely a placeholder for something else,
Yeah.
but like the
What about?
the jerseys are okay.
Mm-hmm.
They're at this point, like with the Rangers having that be their jerseys normally. The Penguins brought it back as a reverse retro and then turned it into a third jersey.
Yeah.
And like I'm sure there's other teams who have brought the diagonal back is like there's
I mean,
nothing
I kind of have a
creatively
problem
innovative here.
with like they really chose black as their home.
So the only thing to fall back on here is the Utah Jazz did the same thing, and the guy who owns the Utah hockey team did the same thing with the Jazz, where they had those hideous yellow, black, and white jerseys when they had the pretty pastel purple mountain scheme of the 90s that they could
Yeah.
have gone back to and ended up going back to this offseason. But in the middle, they just decided to be like fluorescent bulbs. So
But my problem is
there's,
like their
there's
color
reason to
scheme.
believe.
Their color scheme outside of black is good. I like it.
Yeah, but
Why?
they went too heavy with the black. I do think that the blue is good.
Yeah.
I do think that there was a missed opportunity here for them to just settle the color scheme from the jump.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel having seen and having had an eye for jerseys as they change is that it feels very much like they're going to do the same thing that they did with the Jazz, where next year every brand asset from colors to logos to like the whole 9 yards is feels like it's going to change.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that, but like the only reason why there's nothing wrong with that is because they swooped in the middle of the night and
But
took away the Coyotes.
but
If
like,
they had months to plan this, then they absolutely should have something better.
I mean, I'm also thinking about it from like, how did they get people to buy their merch, right? If if they use the colors on the home jersey, would I might have been inclined to buy like a jersey. And the black just kind of detracts from it in its entirety. It's like it's not unique. It doesn't like,
Innovation.
yeah. And it's like
And as
as a
uh,
fan who, okay, I want hockey to succeed, right? So I want to support their team even if it's like, but like I have no motivation to go support a black jersey that just has Utah as a diagonal.
well, as one of the guys at Bar Down and TSN pointed out, they really just took the template from a minor league hockey team that
Yeah.
shows the same colors,
But
except and the minor league team is called the Yeti
uh
or something, which leads people now to believe that, like, are they just going to buy out the minor league team's branding and then just walk away with it and make the minor league team change?
but like
Which would
the
be
other
a
thing,
real shit thing to do,
yeah.
because it's like you're taking a minor league team's branding and being like, we couldn't think of anything innovative ourselves. This was cheaper, and we just don't want to put any effort in.
But I mean, even if they use their colors on that jersey instead of black, I might have been motivated. Like that's a lot more motivation to go and support it, right? Because at least it's like slightly unique. They're using the colors that they've kind of put everywhere instead of just in the logo on the jersey. And just looking at like a black sweater is so boring.
Black sweater makes a good alternate jersey because
Yeah,
you can't really go wrong with it. It's a simple and clean color. It
yeah.
can't be too bright, but
As the
for your normal
41 game sweater,
have to represent a color.
41 game
You have to
sweater, I get
represent.
so tired of it. Like, as an
But
alternate,
like,
like, there needs to be something else that pops in that sweater, right? Because at least, like,
I think they should go Utah Jazz colors.
yeah, like,
I think
they
they should go
have,
purple and blue.
yeah, exactly. Like, even if they had the, like, green and blue or the purple and blue, whatever, right? The point is they only have blue accents on the stripes. Like, at
I
least
would
like
say
when we look at like Pittsburgh, right? Their logo is a yellow and it's like, it has like it draws you to it and it's not just stripes that have the extra color. This
I would
is
I
oh,
would say the one exception I would ever make for a team replicating off of another sport is, how sick would it be if the Utah hockey had the same mountains in the background that the Utah Jazz had, and you went the same colors? Because mountain range, winter weather, it's already there in your sports culture
mhm.
in that state. Run with it. Don't run
I mean, I'm just kind of mad that they copped out with such a
with.
basic generic kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I would argue, worse than the Washington football team
Yeah. I mean,
when they
also
went away from
Washington,
Redskins.
like Washington had I feel like a lot less time to go figure it out. So having them as the football team
And
for a
yet they
while,
still created a logo.
yeah. But also having them as the Washington football team was fine because they were like, yeah, we're still trying to figure out what our whole thing, shebang's gonna be.
Yeah.
This is just
But the
like,
thing is,
oh, here.
the thing about Washington football team was, like, the name eventually grew on you.
Hmm.
Utah Hockey Club doesn't.
No.
And the color, if you had kept the Arizona colors, it probably would have sold more merch than just to be like black.
Hmm.
Like, this is, I don't know if you remember, when the Golden State Warriors had their old colorways.
Yeah.
This is before the Steph era,
Yeah.
and I went to San Francisco, and this was like as the change was happening, and they would just slap the NBA logo in the middle of like something that would say Golden State on the merchandise, and nice, but there's no real logo here.
Yeah,
Like, how do you commit to, as a consumer,
exactly.
buying merchandise that I know a year from now is going to say something else,
Yeah.
and it's going to represent different colors?
I mean,
Like,
the thing is, like, if you want to entice people to buy it, it like needs to be, hey, this is this year's, and it's gonna go away, right? That's what we know. So make it a little fun, even if it's not like it doesn't have to be super out there or super, detailed or anything. But use the colors maybe that you have asked for. Put a mountain on it, like you're saying. Do something that makes it so that like when somebody is buying it, they'll be like, okay, it's 1 year's worth of logo, but it's such a collectible kind of thing.
look at the colors in this behind me, and tell me, like, yeah, you can't do like
Yeah,
this hue of pink, but tell me this kind of element on a hockey jersey. The Kachina sold, and that was like minimal design, and that's like
the
one of the best
Kachina is
jerseys of all
cool
time.
though, bro.
You put a fucking mountain like this behind the word Utah, everybody in America who follows hockey that's a neutral fan will buy a jersey that looks like this.
I mean, it doesn't even have to be that detailed.
It doesn't. It can be fucking clip art.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I'm
Like,
just
we came to this conclusion in what, 15 minutes?
yeah.
And they trotted out Microsoft PowerPoint 2003 and colored it in with Microsoft Paint in black. And they said, good enough.
Yeah.
They probably hired a firm to do that.
Remember the whole thing about changing the Tampa Bay Devil Rays to the Tampa Bay Rays?
And honestly, they botched it. Like, at the end of the or at the end of the day, you could have dropped the Devil Rays and kept the jerseys as clean as they were.
Yeah.
Nobody gave a fuck if it was a manta ray, stingray, devil ray. And you know what? The jersey could have looked the exact same.
Yep.
And instead, they changed it to like Helvetica or Times New Roman. The colors were fine, but like the older colors were way better.
Yeah.
Like the blue on blue was okay, like dark blue, light blue, but
Yeah. All right. On to the last topic before we talk about the awards. Uh, we want to touch on Alexander Ovechkin and the Capitals.
he's on the Phil Kessel diet now.
Yep.
Oh boy, is he.
Oh yeah.
Um, so he's he is, I don't know, do you remember how many goals away it was?
No, but I thought we calculated it was still going to take at least three
Like a season
seasons.
and a half.
I thought it was 3 seasons.
Okay. Do we have it in the document?
Nope.
Let's ask GPT then. How many goals away is Ovechkin from
Breaking the
the
record.
all-time record? All right. So he's 73 goals away.
Yeah, that's going to take three
So,
seasons. Yeah, 25 goals a season.
yeah. And not to mention that all his solid contributing players are now,
Leaving or have left.
yes.
Yep. So,
Backstrom is mulling retirement.
yeah. And
Oshie, or no, I'm sorry. Oshie is mulling retirement. Backstrom, I think, is like 1 foot out the door, if not
yep.
out the door.
But
Um,
so the thing is, right? Like, do we really think that he can maintain 25 goals per season for 3 seasons? And if he
no, for
doesn't,
three
do you think he
seasons.
can go more than 3 seasons?
No, for 3 seasons. I wouldn't call it saving grace as a Penguins fan, but I think the saving grace for the Capitals is that what do they really have to play for? They're in rebuild mode anyway.
Yeah.
So like,
But
might
they
as well keep feeding him a few million to see if he does it.
Yeah, but like
and
how?
you can say something as an organization.
But like the point is, how much ice time? Like his ice time is going down the hill too,
Uh, they're not
and
gonna do anything when he's off the ice either.
yeah. I don't know. I'll see. Like he probably can do it, but like at the same time, it's like
You know, man, it's like the carnival. When we were kids and Ringling Brothers came into town and they would set up right outside the Somerset Patriots games and they'd draw big crowds. And as you grow up, do you think about the Ringling Brothers circus
not
anymore?
until you
No,
mentioned it
you
right
don't.
now.
No, you don't. But you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I have not
But
thought
the
about
thing
it
is like
once till you mentioned it
the
right
thing
now.
is, a lot of people grow up to not care. There's probably a handful of people that still go to see the monkeys or whatever the fuck's going on in the circus.
Yeah, fair.
And right now, what do the Capitals have going for them other than hey, come see the monkey?
Yeah,
So Ovechkin can keep cashing a few million, pay his property taxes on whatever he currently has.
yeah,
I mean, look, Pat Marlowe, Joe Thornton,
yeah.
all played into their 40s until they basically were utterly useless.
So they basically could not
Why?
skate at an
Why?
NHL level at all.
And they did it on teams like the Sharks, well past their prime, who were selling the farm. Why wouldn't the Capitals do it too?
There. All right. So do we want to quickly go
And hey,
over?
we root for teams in their division, and we'll take whatever.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
True.
their fascination with bringing back that goaltender, um, that you guys keep taking and then giving back to them. I don't remember his name.
Anyway, let's talk about the NHL awards now, and let's just get the Connor McDavid
Takes
spiel.
hostage from my takes on the NHL awards.
The Connor McDavid spiel is out of the way. Please rewind if you want to hear it. He won the
I
Conn
have to
Smythe.
clip that like
There
it's
is
the
nothing that
Gonzaga
any of
thing.
us can do about it. Next.
I'm running a letter.
Good for you.
You might have to
Uh,
clip that like it's the Gonzaga rant again.
yeah. Uh, and okay, let's do the Calder first because youngest player, right? Basically, best
Oh
young
my
player.
God, dude. It's
Uh,
rookie. It's not. Come on.
this
It's
is
rookie.
the
Just
best
say
up
rookie.
and coming young player, best rookie, right? As
Well, it could be up and coming without being a rookie, but yeah.
yeah, fair. Connor Bedard.
Yeah. I mean,
Who else was it going to
you know,
be?
it's not like the NBA where they implemented a policy where games played was a precedent. Like, because Bedard, you could, in theory, say, like, once he broke his jaw and was out for a while,
Yeah.
you could say, in theory, somebody else should have been more eligible.
Uh-huh.
But like in terms of performance, like he
Yeah.
lived up to the hype. He got the All-Star nod, although he would never wasn't going to get the All-Star nod because the
Especially
NHL
on that
needed
team.
their poster boy. So I don't know, like I have to bring up the list of who were the other options because I can't think of who would have been up there with her. I know I was going to put that on the graphic, but um, it just ended up being too tasking to find. The NHL doesn't do a good job of finding transparent pictures for their players, so I had to remove the background on everything, and just did not have the motivation to do that. So let's see. Pulling it up. ESPN app sucks. And it took the article away from me.
Anyway, I really don't think anybody else could be considered with how he did while he was not injured.
It was Brock Faber of the Wild and Luke Hayes.
Okay, Brock Faver and Luke Hughes, right?
Did Luke Hughes start the year on the Devils?
Yeah.
I felt like I had seen that he didn't, but
I thought he did. He didn't play the first few games, but he basically was on the Devils the entire year.
the Devils. I love Seinfeld.
Yeah. So I mean, even though like, okay, I'm a biased Devils fan, I really don't think you could get to
No,
give
you're
it to anybody but
you're
Bedard.
not. Sean is being humble. He is the most anti-biased Devils fan, and we know some biased Devils fans
Yeah.
who went to our high school.
Yeah.
We know some people that are very nice people that have been season ticket holders for a very long time.
Yep.
I can't rationalize that. There's not much I
I
can
mean,
do.
we know biased Devils fans. I agree, but like, yeah, okay.
I'm gonna stop there.
Anyway,
They are
let's.
still my friends.
Oh, what award do you want to do next?
Whatever comes after C.
We can do the
Arrogant elephants
Masterton.
everywhere. Sure, that also starts after C.
Okay. So it's Connor Ingram, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, so Masterton, that one came out a while ago, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the player who best exemplifies the qualities of perseverance.
Mm-hmm.
It was him, Frederick Anderson,
Okay.
or Oliver Killington of the Flames.
Okay.
All right. I mean, when it comes to sportsmanship,
That's
there's
a hard
not
one.
really we can't really debate that one.
Yeah. I mean, that's a hard one
Oh,
to
I
debate.
think he wasn't actually that good of a sportsmanship guy.
All right, let's go to the Vesna.
All right, best goalie was between um Bobrovsky of the Panthers, Thatcher Demko of the Canucks,
And
and
Hellebuck.
Connor Hellebuck of the Jets. You know, Demko's probably only really there because the Canucks resurgence.
Yeah, I mean that resurgence though. He definitely played
Yeah,
a part in it, so I'm okay with him being
absolutely.
nominated.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm just saying, like, there's always, on a panel, one of the three finalists who you're like, which one could maybe have been swapped out for somebody else? I think that Demko probably is that. Bobrovsky has proven that he is always a great regular season performer.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, but Hellebuck took it, so I mean, you probably could have made the argument for Bobrovsky. I feel like.
yeah, maybe if he had won the Vezina, he would have won the Conn Smythe.
Oh, all right. How about the Selkie?
The Selkie, right, the Selkie. Where is it? So the forward who best excels in the defensive aspect of the game. Okay, so that's why there's no Penguins players here. Um,
I mean,
Barkov from the
don't your
Panthers.
defensive players excel at the offensive aspect of the game?
Dude, our defensive defensemen don't even excel at the defensive
I
level
know.
of the game. Barkov from the Panthers, Austin Matthews from the Leafs, and then Jordan Stahl from the Hurricanes, which I don't mind Jordan Stahl getting some love there because he's had a very long career. He's been a great two-way center for a
Mm-hmm.
very long time. His stats have never been the same since he left Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
but like he's obviously provided tremendous value to the Hurricanes
Mm-hmm.
as their captain.
Right.
I don't think he's ever going to win it, but Barkov.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Barkov. How about the King
Future
Clancy?
Conn Smythe winner, Alexander Barkov.
How about the King Clancy?
To the player who best exemplifies leadership qualities on and off the ice, there's like four for that basically are like Lady Bing.
Yeah. Well, we'll do the Lady
Player
Bing
who best
next anyway.
exemplifies leadership qualities on and off the ice and has made a noteworthy humanitarian contribution in their community. Each team nominates a player. I don't have the list
Yeah,
by every
but we
team.
know Anders Lee won.
Islanders. The
Okay.
Islanders.
And how about the Lady Bing next?
To the player who adjusted to having exhibited the best sportsmanship and gentlemanly conduct combined with a high standard of playing ability. It's just their nice way of saying the player who used to take way too many penalties
And
and
doesn't.
this year didn't. It was Austin Matthews, Elias Pettersson, or Jacob Slavin, and it went to Jacob
Slavin.
Slavin of the Hurricanes.
Yep.
Ooh,
Yeah.
ooh,
How about the
Storm
Lindsay?
Surge. Do they still do the Storm Surge over in Carolina? I
I
doubt
don't
it.
know.
To the most outstanding player as voted by the Players Association. Nikita Kucherov of the Lightning, Nathan McKinnon of the Avalanche, or Austin Matthews of the Leafs. Austin Matthews got nominated for everything,
Everything, right?
for even for biggest, not so much of an asshole anymore in the Lady Bing. Um, it went to Nathan McKinnon,
Yep.
which is fine. I mean,
Yep.
nobody's going to argue with the Avalanche's success recently in the past few years since Tampa started fading.
Yep. How about the Hart Trophy next?
Um, I hope it went to Connor McDavid. It would only be right.
You wish.
To the player who adjudged to be the most valuable to his team. Okay, ESPN, I need you to stop using words like adjudged and just say to the most meaningful player to his
On
team.
a team.
The finalists were Nikita Kucherov. I don't understand why the Lightning have such representation for a team that lost in the first round. Nathan McKinnon from the Avalanche or Connor McDavid from the Oilers. It ended up being Nathan McKinnon again.
Yep.
Surely they made the finals with all this representation.
All
Surely
right.
they got very close
How about the Norris Trophy?
to the defense player who demonstrates throughout the season the greatest all-around ability in the position. This is also known as the Chris Letang always wanted to be here
Yep.
trophy, and yet somehow never was a finalist.
Yep.
Um, it went Quinn Hughes of the Canucks, Roman Yossi of the Predators, which is ridiculous
Yep.
at this point that Roman Yossi is still playing that well, and Cale Makar of the Avalanche. And it went to the one Hughes brother who had the balls to not play in New Jersey.
All right. How
Hey,
about
I think I can leave this country and go to Canada.
how about the Jack Adams?
Went to some fucking guy.
You can say that about every award.
You're damn right I can, but I had to scroll and kill some time. So the coach, adjudged to have contributed the most to his team's success, as voted on by the NHL Broadcasters Association. Oh, who knew that that was a thing? The real NBA. Those Rick Bonus of the Jets, which we did the deep dive last
Yep.
episode on him and how really he,
I don't understand, but okay.
yeah, we don't. Andrew Burnett of the Predators,
Don't
which, I mean,
understand.
and Rick Tocchet of the Canucks, who, if I'm not wrong, did coach the whole season for the Canucks. So, really, just when I was killing time to say it just went to some guy, it really did just go to some guy
It went
because
to Rick Talk. All right.
like a guy who was average, a guy who barely made the playoffs, and a guy who did not, and a guy who was working for TNT halfway through the season.
And the last one, the Messier
Oh, I
Award.
gotta find it. Not good with French. Um, to the player who exemplifies great leadership qualities to his team on and off the ice during the regular season who plays a leading role in his community growing the game of hockey. Okay, so not Mark Messier then. Um, it went to Jacob Trouba,
Yep. I don't understand.
and 31 other teams have a problem with that because I don't think he exemplifies great leadership qualities on the ice.
Nope.
And no offense to any Rangers players, I don't know how you can exemplify a community growth off the ice in New York City.
Yep.
Yeah, so it really was just like an absolute any who's who could have won that trophy.
Yep.
So I mean, I think that's all we have for today. I
Yeah.
know we have yet another in person coming. Sean is flying into Pittsburgh as he does for 4th of July weekend every year now.
Yep.
Uh, and so we're gonna have a quick turnaround, film something out here. We're gonna talk the college football video game that's coming out in July. That means for the future of video games and college sports. Um, yeah, I know
All right.
there's a lot of hype behind it, so
All right. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in and catch you next time.
sounds good.